We head into week 11. The 1 week wonders just happened in week 10. Did you have these guys started on your team? Probably not. But we're going to talk about them anyway. We're going to talk about how good or bad the past 1 week wonders have been. That's Ron Rigney. I'm Bob Lung. We're coming up next. All right, week 11, 1 week wonders. Time is just blowing by. We're like 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away from the fantasy playoffs. Are you kidding me? Which is exactly the same time as we're away from Thanksgiving. So, and it's late this year, so we'll be heading towards that soon. Ron, welcome. As always, you're repping your. How do you say it? The 7-1 or 8-1, 9-1 Colts and the 1-9 Pacers.
Yeah, the 8-2 Colts, the 1-9 Pacers. We were talking about it off air. The Pacers. They are, to quote the famous late great Denny Green. They are who we thought they were. Everybody's hurt, so we kind of knew that was coming. But the Colts kind of are who we didn't think they were. So that's kind of a cool change to see. It kind of sucks at both extremes, but we'll take the 8-2 start for the Colts.
Heck yeah, especially as they're rolling along with Mr. Taylor just cranking out his 2 to 3. Touchdowns per game. My youngest daughter, Rianne, is very happy with him. In fact, she texted me at when that 9:30 game in around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah. Dad, he got 20. Now it's touchdown only. So you get 6 points for rushing touchdowns, but touchdowns over 50 go for 12 points. So she had 24 points in a league where if you score 24 points as a team, you can usually win. She scored 4 points with just one player, and then had Matt Stafford throw 4 touchdowns. So yeah, of course, once again she rolled. So she's kicking butt, taking names. So I'm gonna have to knock her off at some point, but I don't have to wait till the playoffs at this point. So she already kicked my ass a couple of weeks ago. But we are back for the 1 week wonders. Why are we here? Why are you watching? Let me tell you why. Because we're tracking 1 week wonders every week. The players that are either probably not on your roster, but definitely not in your starting lineup, and who go off to earn a clutch game. And then we track those players every week after that week to see if they maintain the consistency. And what we're seeing so far, at least now through week 10, I guess I'll say should be week 9 players and back, are now under 25% consistent after their big week. So 75% of the time after they had their huge week, they have not been worthy of your starting lineup. This is what we were expecting. There are certainly some players who have done very well. Rondé Gasson, Jackson Dart, at least until he got hurt this week. Jacoby Brissett, and others. And we'll talk about them as we go through this. But Ron, we're going to get started here with the week 10 players in. Our first player, our quarterback of the week, ranked 3rd in total points and probably made Colby Conway a very happy man at that moment when he ran in the touchdown to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why don't you tell everybody who that is?
Yeah, that looks like the second coming of Randall Cunningham here, and that's Davis Mills. And, we were talking about it again off air. Davis Mills is not known as an athletic guy, but he is known as a guy that can chuck it. And I remember that draft that he came out, there were people, there were scouts that were saying he was one of the best pure passers that were there, just was kind of injury prone. And we know he got a shot a couple of years ago before they drafted C.J. Stroud. But, the thing I saw that I thought was kind of interesting is after the win, they said that C.J. Stroud will not make an immediate return. So now, is that all because of the concussion? Is that because Davis Mills threw for 240 or 292 and a couple scores and ran one in, and they looked like a different team? I know I benefited from some Nico Collins clutch game goodness yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle that situation. But I mean, if they're moving in the right direction with Davis Mills, how can you not go with the guy that has the hot hand?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about winning football games, and he won him a football game, ran the touchdown in with, I don't forget, 15, 30 seconds left. They were down. He drove them down the field. Like you said, had a nice game, 292, 2 passing touchdowns, 60% in the air, 3 times running the ball 20 yards and that one 14-yard touchdown. Not his forte, but when it needed to be, he got the job done. So we'll see if that continues. They're doing it now with Jacoby Brissett in Arizona. They're like, yeah, we don't know if Kyler Murray will come back. And, Jacoby Brissett put up another clutch game again this week, 21.4 fantasy points. We even had a Dylan Gabriel in the clutch, which really hurt because I really wanted to get him in there, but Davis Mills was third, and so with Dylan Gabriel only 10th, I had to give it to Davis Mills. Maybe we'll see a Dylan Gabriel next week. Tyler Shough at 19, which is right on the edge. May have not earned a clutch game, but a nice game and got him a win, which probably did not excite anybody in New Orleans because they're probably tanking to get some good players there in the draft as well. So, Ron, as we move forward here, any of these other guys that you kind of see hanging around there, are they going to make an impact? Is J.J. McCarthy the future? I mean, they want him to be, but other than that second half of the Bears game in week 1 or 2 or whatever it was, really hasn't done that much. And he's killing Justin Jefferson.
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't think that we've seen enough to really even know because when he gets on the field, it's about a game or two, and then he's hurt again. Is what we've seen. Of course, we missed all of last year, but I don't have a reason to think that if he can't stay on the field and stay healthy, he's got weapons around him. Like like you said, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. They've got running backs. The offensive line is decent, so I don't see a reason that he couldn't be. He comes from Michigan, so he's got that pedigree. But we haven't seen enough, and I think we just they need to keep him upright so we can see a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we move to the running back position. Number 4 was Travion Henderson, and I thought about choosing him, but I didn't because he's been on most teams' rosters and a lot of times have been starting for teams, especially if you're in like Kings Classic or a deep 14-team kind of league. He's been playing. He's definitely. So the guy moved all the way down to 18th, 13.4 fantasy points was Emari DiMercado. Only 4 rushes for 64 yards, but 3 catches for 40 got him enough points to earn that clutch game. I feel like it's just a revolving, carousel there of, is it Bam Knight? Is it DiMercado? Is it Michael Carter? When straight Benson coming back? It's just been a hot mess in that backfield. I don't have a lot of hope in DiMercado earning more clutch games in the future, but I think he's got the talent. Like I've seen him play, and he's like, wow, that kid's quick, hits the holes, and then he just disappears for like 3 or 4 weeks. So maybe he can get a chance on another team and help them out. But I feel like he's just in a very cluttered mess in Arizona. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at like you said, he disappears for weeks and then comes back. But the thing is, he's only received double-digit carries in one game, and that was 2 weeks ago when he went for 14 carries for 79 yards. So it kind of looked like he might be the guy that's coming to the forefront of that backfield. But then all of a sudden last week, like you said, he had the 4 carries for 64 yards. Now, a lot of that had to do with game flow because they got behind real quick and needed to throw the football. So that's part of it as well. But when you look at the 3 games where he's gone for double-digit yards, a few weeks ago against Tennessee, 3 for 81. So that's a cool average of 27 yards per carry. Against Dallas, 5.6 per carry when he had the 14 carries. And then last weekend, 16 yards per carry. So, I mean, when you look at the guys in that backfield, he's definitely got the most juice. Now, he's not a big guy as well. I don't know if he's, a guy that can get the 14 carries per week, but he's definitely a big play waiting to happen. And like you said, it would be cool to see him on a different team. They could use a running back and, maybe use him in kind of like a, I guess like a Kimani Vidal role, I guess, when Omarion Hampton gets back, where they can try to get him in space, get him, on the screen pass or whatever it may be. But that he's definitely the guy in that backfield. And I don't understand why, if they're trying to win games, if they're uncertain about Kyler Murray, they're trying to figure out who they have. Why not give him at least 10 to 12 carries per game?
Yeah. Like you said, he's just such a quick hitter, and especially when they're playing on turf where you got the speed. And I don't understand why they don't use him more. I don't know what they're saving him for, but we'll see. Trey Benson still, there's talk that he will be back this week, but then it was talk that he's going to be back last week. So we'll see. All right, we move to the wide receiver position. 32 clutch games earned. We have some surprises like Roman Williams Wilson. We've got a Keon Coleman sighting for the first time in a long time, mostly because he got a touchdown. Jaden Higgins, Alec Pierce has been kicking butt, so we'll leave him out. Mac Hollins. We always have a Mac Hollins sighting at least once or twice a year. Tez Johnson came back again, 2 touchdowns this week for Tampa Bay. Seems to be pretty much moving Sterling Shepard out of the way, which is disappointing to me because I have him. But Ibuka was right up there, of course, second overall. But why don't you talk about the Minnesota Viking receiver, who's not named Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison, that ended up third this week, 5 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen Nailor. Talk about him.
Yeah, former 6th-round pick, Jalen Nailor out of Michigan State. And, it's one of those things where, you saw J.J. McCarthy's passing line. The completion percentage wasn't great, but the yardage was up there. So you're like, oh, clutch games for Addison and Justin Jefferson. Not the case. You look at the highlights, and you got Jalen Nailor on there taking 1 for 62 yards, 5 grabs for 124, his previous season high. He had 37 yards in 2 different games. He even had a couple of games where he's not even recorded a catch, and he's got a 1 catch for 2 yards game. Although that 1 catch did go for a touchdown, so there's that. But I obviously didn't see that coming. I don't know if it's, maybe he's got a little bit of a rapport with J.J. McCarthy just because of, I don't know, practice. I don't really know. I have no idea. I cannot explain why Jalen Nailor is able to do that. But when you look at who they played yesterday, they did play Baltimore. Baltimore's been known to be very, very kind to pretty much everybody on everybody's offense, receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks. So they're 4th worst against defending fantasy wideouts. They've allowed 11 touchdown passes. So I don't know that we're going to see a big game out of Jalen Nailor like this every week, but you could kind of see him stepping into that 3rd receiver role. Maybe if they can get the pass game going a little bit, might not be a bad little flex play.
Yeah. Did Nailor go to Michigan? Maybe that was a connection. I don't know. Probably not. Doesn't
Michigan State. So they were actually rivals. Yeah,
it's the same state. That's what we're going to
go
with. Yeah. No, it was surprising to me when I saw him up there because I knew I had heard on the radio. I think I was listening to Fantasy Sports and Joe Dolan, and we're doing the game day stuff, and I heard them say, Justin Jefferson has 3 catches for 47 yards. It's like, oh, jeez. So anyway, nice. All right, let's move on to the tight end position. As always, tight ends, not real consistent, don't earn a lot of numbers. But, Ron, I don't know if you've been following because I missed you on Thursday night, and they've got my boy James Knight. Do you realize for the last 3 weeks, the tight ends have a higher clutch factor than the running backs and wide receivers? I don't know if it'll continue tomorrow. We didn't have a real good scoring week since only 11 of the players earned over that. It's around 10.3, 10.4. So might only be 9 players depending on, but I'm assuming it's going to drop a little bit. We'll pick up Andrews and Laporta, maybe even Njoku at 10.1. But yeah, and the weird thing is that it's not that these tight ends are more consistent or scoring more points. It's that every week there's like 2 tight ends. Like, for example, this week, McBride and Kittle, 23.4, 27.7. A couple weeks over the last couple of weeks with Gadsden with his monster games in the upper 20s, low 30s. So it pulls that average up, but it's only one person or 2 people pulling the average up. And then the rest of them all suffer. But this week, the guy I went with was Colby Parkinson. He was 8th in total, or 8th this week, ranked 14.1, 4 catches, 41 yards, and that all-inclusive touchdown, which usually makes the difference between clutch game and not clutch game. Where's Tyler Higbeast? We don't know. I think he was dethroned years ago. But, Colby Parkinson catches the touchdown, which puts him in the upper. Thought about Theo Johnson, but I think we've used Theo Johnson. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. And the rest of them were guys that have been playing quite a bit. Schultz has been actually on fire for a while now. I have him on in my touchdown premium dynasty league, and I just been carrying him, and I usually don't start him much, but the last few weeks he's been catching balls like crazy,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
touchdowns. So he has been doing very well for me in that league. But your thoughts on Colby Parkinson and the disaster that we all know and love, which of course is tight ends.
Well, the thing is, I kind of had a feeling they were doing a little better because I've, not in my Kings Classic leagues 'cause I'm rolling with Evan Ingram and John Smith, and that's not going well for me at all. So luckily, I have other players that can carry me from other positions. But in my Dynasty leagues, I've got Tyler Warren, I've got George Kittle, I've got Dalton Kincaid, Jake Ferguson, Kate Otten. Those guys are carrying my Scott Fishbowl team along with Jonathan Taylor. So I kind of had a feeling they were doing a little better than they normally are. Maybe it's me. It's because I'm not on the show anymore that they're a little bit more consistent. So maybe I need to stay away for a little while. I don't know. Maybe I'm the kiss of death with a tight end, but I don't know that we really have much to worry about here with Mr. Parkinson. Like you said, him and Tyler Higbee. But as you were talking about, the Tyler Higbee and Colby Parkinson, imagine if this Rams team had like a Tyler Warren or a George Kittle. I mean, that would just almost be unfair with it. The running back that they have in Kyron Williams and the wideouts they have. Oh man, that would be something to watch. But they don't. And like you said, these guys that are the 1 week wonders. It's usually because they've scored a touchdown, and Mr. Parkinson is no different. So I don't think there's really much to count on here. Again, maybe if you're super super desperate in bye week, but I don't know that we need to rush out and add Mr. Colby Parkinson.
Probably not. Let's see I think there's only 2 teams off this week, week 11.
Yeah, there's not too many. I know Indianapolis is one. Yeah.
Yeah, and New Orleans. So that's Juwan Johnson. So if you have Warren or Juwan Johnson, you might need to pick up Colby Parkinson. We'll see. But yeah, it's been an interesting year for tight ends. Like you said, I mean, McBride is obviously running away with it. Kittle's now getting back into his swing. So we'll see him probably keep shooting up. Tyler Warren has been great. And then everybody else is just kind of like week to week. A kid named Jackson Hawes from Buffalo had 9.6 points because he had 1 catch for 26 yards and a touchdown. I'm like, I've never even heard of this dude. Colston Loveland, of course, came back to reality with 4 catches for 55 yards and no touchdowns, which is why he didn't make it. Davis Allen for the Rams had 1 catch for 8 yards and a touchdown. So they're throwing to everybody except Kate.
Everybody.
Yeah, so interesting stuff. And there's Dawson Knox, 3 for 37. Of course, Kincaid played. He got hurt. Hopefully he'll be back. He's been actually pretty good for some of my teams this year as well. So I'm really hoping he's not out for very long, but keep an eye on that. So there you go. Our 1 week wonders for the week. Ron, I assume you have a card for us.
I do, and I went just kind of simple off the top of the box here. I went with the nice little Kimani Vidal, little rainbow rookie card there. A guy that's been filling in super, super nicely for those Chargers with both of those guys in the backfield on IR. But I think Emari Hampton's getting close. Of course, Najee Harris is out for the season, but it's going to be hard to ignore Mr. Vidal once Emari Hampton comes back. I think they keep him in the fold, but nice little guy if you were able to add him. He seems like he has a clutch game about every other week, so if you look at his numbers this coming week, may not be the clutch week, so you might want to sit him. I don't know if there's any mojo behind that, but we'll see. But so anyway, as we always tell you, go over to bigguyfantasysports.com. Again, consistently cashing. Our lineup did pretty solid this week. I went with Kyle Monangai as one of our running backs, and he was okay. But I also told you in the article, same price. If you don't feel comfortable with him, with DeAndre Swift coming back, flex to Travion Henderson. So if you made that little change, it paid off for you, but we still did pretty well for you. Had the Browns defense, had Jackson Dart in there before he got hurt, had Roma Dunze, so did a nice little workup for you. So prop bets over there, consistency forecaster over there, who's hot, who's not, waiver wire, you name it, we got it over bigguyfantasysports.com. Come get it if you don't already have it.
You got it. And of course, you can follow me at Bob_Lung. As Ron said, all kinds of great stuff. James Knight, Ron, Colby, all of us, prop bets, still doing very well every week. I think 1, 2 for 3 this week. Didn't get mine in on time. Another problem. But we're happy to have all that stuff there. So follow it all. And I'll throw out this as I have every podcast now. If you just hit me up, DM me, email me, I'd be happy to give you a coupon code to get 50% off the rest of the season. It's crunch time. We're in weeks 11 to 14. This is what makes and breaks your fantasy season to get into the playoffs. You cannot win a championship, regardless of what you think. You cannot win a championship if you don't make the playoffs. I've seen it. It's tested. I've been playing for 40 years. Hasn't happened yet. Trust me on this. So you got to get to the playoffs to win a title. So if you're a game out, 2 games out, maybe even have a lead of 2 games, don't take that for granted. Get the information, forecast or the consistency information, get those tools that you can check and find those players, those 1-week wonders, whether we trust them or not, to let you know about them so you can go out, grab them off the waiver wire. Could be the difference if you picked up guys like Aronde Gadsden and Juwan Johnson, some of those guys that we mentioned early in the year who started off hot. They might be helping your team right now. There's going to be more of them. It could be the guys this week. Maybe it's Davis Mills. Maybe it's Jalen Nailor. You've got a deep flex spots like we do. It's going to be worth it. So make sure you grab those. So for Rigney, I'm Bob Lung. Everybody take care. God bless. We'll see you next week.